Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. As you probably have seen, man, there's a ton of flooding happening here in Louisville. I'm okay. There's no issues around my house. You can see behind me, if you can see out the window, that I actually have to drive down hills. So I'm on top of a hill here in southern Indiana, where I actually live, work in Louisville. But today's vlog, just like I put in the title, today I'm going to tell you what it's like owning an electric car, 100% electric car, for right about 6 months. I've put over 10,000 miles on it, and wow, what a learning experience and what a fun car that my wife and I do enjoy driving. So we've certainly put the miles on it, as I mentioned earlier, but there's also a lot of things that we've learned over the time as well. So I've had the vehicle serviced. That was a really interesting thing, to have that vehicle serviced with a problem. I broke the car like day one. It almost caught us a fire in the house, so amongst a few other things, and so I figured it'd be a good time that we've owned the vehicle for this long, that I can discuss it with you with some of the things that we've learned over the last 10,000 miles in almost 6 months. Before I begin, let me throw these checks in the bank, and then I'll tell you exactly what it's like owning a Tesla Model S or a 100% electric car, to help you decide if this is the right vehicle for you in your daily life.
That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life!
So I'm going to start with my service appointment that I had with Tesla. So back on December 25th, Christmas Day, I was having some issues with the car heading up to Fort Wayne, where I'm originally from. So I scheduled a service appointment to figure out something happened. Well, they never got back to me. Matter of fact, they got to me early February is when they actually emailed me and says, hey, we saw you set a service appointment, what can we do to help you, and blah blah blah. And I emailed them back a really nasty note. It's like, hey, great job, guys. 2 months later, you finally get back to me to find out what my service issue is. So luckily, I know some people at Tesla, and I emailed a friend of mine at the Cincinnati service facility, and he got it handled right away. So they set up the service appointment, and they're like, hey, where do you want us to come, stuff like that. And you can see right here on the screen that I had them come to my work, and I had them work right on the showroom floor of my car. It was freezing cold. It was one of those one days that we were like getting 0 degrees out and all that stuff, so that I didn't really want to have them work outside. I was trying to be nice and have them work inside. So what had happened is we were having some regenerative braking issues. It was saying our regenerative braking is not working. So if you're familiar with regenerative braking, basically when you use the brakes, you let your foot off the gas, it returns the energy back into the battery for better battery life. So if you look at this dirty tire, because it's been raining here nonstop and I have not been able to clean this car, you can see we've got the typical brake caliper that we see on all of our cars. Then we have this guy up here, which I believe is the regenerative braking. Now, I'm no Tesla expert, so I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this is it. Somewhere inside there is a sensor that needs to be cleaned. So what I learned first and foremost was to take this car through a car wash, get everything clean, stuff like that, so we can get the sensor working. Well, it fixed it for a minute, but didn't really fix it long term. So that's why I still had Tesla come out. So they looked at all of those sensors on the car, made sure they were good, made sure they were calibrated, and everything went really well. So basically what is happening is this car does not like the cold weather, which is amazing because I'm involved in a lot of Tesla groups, and there's a lot of people in Canada and stuff like that, and they talk about how they drive them up there all the time. So, and it's much colder in Canada than it is in Louisville, Kentucky. So this car does not like the cold in any way, shape, or form. But before I get into the cold weather driving, what also I learned is with that, our suspension was dropping. I mean, we were like literally losing. This is an air ride suspension car. I can move it up and move it down based off of what I need it to do. Like I literally, like right over on the other side of this building here, there's some big, massive speed bumps, and I've got the car set up so when I come up to those speed bumps that it'll actually raise up the suspension. So it's really cool how they do it based off of the map system and GPS and stuff like that. But I came out multiple times times, I think 3 total, and the suspension was dropped down. So now typically you would like that look, right? So a lot of people do that with sports cars and stuff like that, but this is an expensive car and they really don't want that issues to happen and stuff like that. So the suspension had sucked all the way down, and it really was just because of the cold. My car is a Model S 85 kilowatt battery, so it gets right at 260 miles on a full charge. So now I've always talked about this, selling a lot of volts, selling a lot of bolts with a B with Chevrolet. I understand electric cars really well, and I was really excited that we traded for this car that I could buy it. So with that being said, 260 miles is perfect world scenario. So it's driving the right speeds, all this good stuff. I've always told everybody there's 3 T's for battery range: terrain, technique, and temperature. We can't really control 2 of them. That would be the terrain and temperature. The technique is definitely all on you. How you stop, how you start, how you drive, how fast you drive, all that good stuff. So my wife does not let me drive this car in cold weather. The reason she doesn't let me drive is because I drive like a sports car and not like a
electric car.
Right. So there's definitely a difference between driving a sports car that you can stop wherever you want and get gas, and I don't care how much gas mileage I get, compared to having an electric car and your SLR.
Get stranded on the road.
So, but also it's a testament to the truth that me driving my Camaro getting 19, 20 miles per gallon, and you drive to Virginia and get
31 miles per gallon.
So our driving habits are a little different. So therefore, that's why I'm not allowed to drive, and you make me drive. So we went to Bloomington, and she's like, "Dude, you're not driving." I was like, I said, "Oh, fine, I'm not gonna drive." And we got back with
18 miles.
18 miles on the charge, and it's how far round trip?
It was 87 miles there, so about 170.
About 170, and we still had 260 miles. So I would have never got round trip, but she's better at it. She's more patient. So that's one thing to do, is when you're driving these electric cars, you have to drive them completely different. Remember the 3 T's: terrain, technique, and temperature. And I don't have the technique.
Hell no.
I don't have the patience for the technique either. The reason being is cold weather, sub-freezing, close to 0 like we had at Christmas time, early January here in Louisville. It kills this battery. For every 1 mile you drive, it knocks off 2 miles of charge on the car. That's crazy. So that 260 becomes 130 really, really quick. So as we were heading back from Christmas, from Fort Wayne back down to Louisville, it's a 250 mile trip. So in theory, we should be able to get home, perfect world scenario, right, with no issues. I couldn't get to Indianapolis. I got south of Fort Wayne, driving about 80 miles an hour, put into the navigation system of where you're going, so that way it can tell you how well you're doing on your range and stuff like that, where you need to stop at for Tesla superchargers, all that good stuff. And I just got south of Fort Wayne by about 20 minutes, a half an hour tops, and the car comes on and says, "Hey, if you want to make it to the supercharger, you can't drive over 65 miles an hour." What? Are you kidding me? So I literally had to drive 64 miles per hour from about Huntington, Indiana to Indianapolis, Indiana, south side in Greenwood. That was a brutal drive. We barely made it. So we charged the car all the way up again, drove home from Indianapolis to Louisville with no problems, driving about 80 miles an hour because I had 250 miles and it was just doing just fine. So that's one key thing with an electric car, is knowing the mileage. So that cold weather comes out, man, dude, you will not, absolutely, under any circumstance, you will not get the mileage that you need. And all the Tesla forums and all the Tesla owners groups that I'm in, it's a very common talked about practice that you will not get the range that you're in. So that's one thing that we learned really well. And being that's in a fully electric car, we can't run out on the side of the road, and there's still a good amount of charging stations out there, but where we live, from Fort Wayne down to Indy, there wasn't really anything out there. I checked out ChargePoint, I checked out a couple other electric vehicle ones, so that was really difficult and stressful situation, but we made it with no problem. A big shocker for my car was the insurance. So I bought this in last August, and didn't check insurance, was excited that we traded for the car, wanted to buy it, literally bought it on an airplane while I was flying home from Florida, and I just said buy it, text my insurance agent who is a good customer of mine and who I consider a friend, text them, say, hey, here's the VIN, insure it, we're good to go, full coverage, whatnot. I get the bill, and it was over $1,500 a year. That was really shocking. I don't pay $1,500 a year on my kids' insurance. My kids have brand new cars, so I was really shocked that I was going to pay $1,500 on this car. So I did some more research on it. I was like, why in the heck is this car $1,500 per year? And coming to find out, there's actually not a whole lot of companies who insure Tesla. Tesla is really considered a high-line car, and with that, in fact, a minor fender bender can total this car. And so if you were to hit a deer or something like that, I mean, you're at that point, your car is completely 100% totaled. It's crazy. That's something I did not know. And again, because of the owner groups that I'm in and stuff like that, they've shared that stuff with me. So when you look at this car, you know, you got the typical park sensors up front that all of our cars, a lot of them have. There's the garage door opener up there, so I literally can pull into my driveway and the garage door automatically opens up without touching anything. So that's a really unique thing. You got the air suspension, you have all the components underneath in the front and all that stuff. So it's a really intuitive car, and it's a really expensive car to fix and maintain after that fact if something happens. So that's the reason why insurance is so high, because cost replacement is extremely high as well. So let's talk about how my Tesla almost burned down my house. So I take the car home the night of the service appointment at my dealership, and I plug it in like normal, nothing crazy. And Tesla's got this app on your phone that tells you, hey, your car's charging. It tells you how fast it's charging, tells you when it's going to be completed charging and all that stuff. And if there's any type of interruptions in the charging, you get a notification so you can go fix it, because obviously when you have a fully electric car, you want to make sure it's charged to where you want it to be at. So I got those notifications that charging was interrupted, and I didn't really pay much of attention to it. I've had the car for a few months and didn't really understand why I was getting that, but just kind of let it go. Well, the next morning I come out and the charge of the car is not up where it should have been to a full status of where I charge it to. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I start doing my checks and balances and kind of checking things out, and you're gonna see these pictures come up here in a second on the screen. Is I eventually got to the cord, and the cord is plugged in correctly. I go to the wall, the cord's plugged in correctly in the wall, and I'm like, what is going on here? And again, don't know much about Tesla, as I mentioned earlier on the brake system, but I'm smart enough to understand that I've got to check some things out. So on the Tesla cord, it comes apart because you have a opportunity to charge at 110 outlet, or you can do a 220, 240 volt outlet. So the plug is a universal plug that you can unplug. So I made sure that was seated in correctly to make sure it was completely in there good. It was. So then I decided I'm going to take it apart and see what's going on there, and voila, there was burn marks, as you see on here now. Completely shocked, completely scared at this point as well. So I got the cell phone number of the rescue rangers, they call them with Tesla, and he mentioned to me that text him anytime. So I took that liberty. It's like, hey man, what's going on here? I texted him these pictures. I said I need some help, and they said, hey, listen, we can get you a new cord. It's 650 bucks, I think, 500 bucks, something like that. And I was like, hey, listen, I've been doing some research in the time frame that you came back, and I think this is an old original cord that you guys had a lot of problems on, and I was hoping you guys could goodwill it for me. So he asked me to send him a couple pictures of cords, which you're seeing again on the screen here, and he says, you're right, that is an old cord, we'll goodwill it for you. So they gave me a brand new cord at no cost, and that's what it's all about, man. The customer service, as I've talked about previously in a couple of my vlogs with the customer on the Silverado, the customer on the Corvette, it's all about customer service. I was in the same scenario that any of my clients could be in, and they took care of me 100%, and that's what I love about it. So so that's how the car almost burned down. I was really scared at that point. It's like, did I do something wrong? Because I'm the one who put the wiring in for the outlet. Had a friend do that. I never uploaded that vlog either, but I put the wiring in, and all that stuff. So I was really scared that maybe I did something wrong. So it come to turn out it was just a bad cord, and it was fixed, and it wasn't on my end. In closing of this vlog, I'm going to show you probably one of the really coolest things about the Tesla, and that is the frunk of the car. But you have to be really careful in this, because newer models, especially like on Model X, stuff like that, you can actually break into this, so you don't want to leave anything special in there, high dollar equipment, stuff like that. On this car I'm safe, so if I put something in there, you can't open it from the outside. But basically I just said here, "Hey Siri, open the frunk of my Tesla." Voila. There you go. So now my frunk is open. If you haven't seen one of these frunks, it's really cool. Voila, there you go. Completely open. You can store some things in there. It gives you a lot of extra space. Absolutely love it. And again, make sure you look in your car's owner's manual, which is through the screen system, of making sure that you don't have the car that allows you to open the frunk, excuse me, from the outside. So there's just a little bit of insight of what it's like owning a Tesla Model S. Now, I want to make sure you guys understand this. I love this car. I absolutely love everything about it. Anything negative has happened, it's just part of the ownership experience. You know, being in the car business, I see all sorts of goofy things happen, and really nothing affects me. Nothing really, you know, gets me bent out of shape or anything like that. So, you know, stuff happens. It's no big deal. I just get it fixed and move on to the next thing. Life's too short to worry about mediocre things that can ruin your day. It's just not my personality, and it's never the way I've ever been in life. So, so really cool thing about it is that, you know, I'll update you guys in 6 months or so, August, and let you know where I am on mileage for the year of owning the car. I have had very little cost associated with this car, and one thing I did forget to tell you about is when Tesla looked at my car. Now this car is out of warranty for the bumper to bumper, so they did not charge me in any way, shape, or form, which I was really shocked about that. They didn't charge me to come look at the car or anything, so I was really shocked by that. And it's maybe something that maybe hopefully other manufacturers in the company can look at, and I'm going to talk about maybe a little bit of a service appointment down the road, of what it's like to have the service appointment set up, and get into more detail on that, because that was pretty interesting to me as well. So as you guys know, I love to talk, and I talk a lot, so I'm going to cut the vlog off right here. But any questions you have, I look at all my comments, I read all my comments. I usually try to heart all my comments in the comment section below. If you're looking for buying a Tesla and want to get some free credits, use the link in the description below as well. But again, I just want to really thank you for being part of my vlog, being part of my life. I look forward to seeing your comments in the description below. Make sure you thumbs up that button, hit that subscribe button if this is the first time you're there, and that bell notification. I look forward to we'll look forward to working with you, because I say that in some of my other stuff on Facebook and whatnot. I look forward to seeing you in my next vlog. Have a great day. Thanks again for watching, and drive safely.